Are you married or in a committed relationship looking for real advice on having love and enriching your relationship? You are in the right place. Welcome to The Couples Expert with Stuart Fensterheim.
Hello and welcome to the Couples Expert podcast. This is Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert. Welcome back for another episode on our journey for an emotional connection with our partners and learning specific ways that the two of you can really have that kind of relationship that we all dream about. This relationship is one in which both of you really see each other as being best friends and also confidants, emotionally secure, and knowing that the relationship that the two of you have, that both of you have worked on so that you are both very authentic and very vulnerable with one another, and knowing that you're with that one person in the world that you know that you can count on. Someone in this world, in this planet, in this vast, big planet of having millions and millions and millions of people out there, that from some wild, crazy ride, we find each other. And then we build this incredible relationship in which both of you have a significant life with one another, in which both of you see each other as best friends and knowing that there's no one else out there that you'd rather be with. That's the experience we all want. You know, one of the things that I'm doing currently is I'm doing some recordings for a premarital program that's going to be going live shortly. And once that goes live, I'm going to feel really excited because what it's going to be about more than anything is helping couples before they get married really develop these kinds of significant relationships where the two of you can talk about just about anything and that you know and feel very secure, and there's a feeling of serenity that you're with someone that knows you so well and that you don't have to play any of these games. We all feel sometimes that we live this life, we have different roles with different people, and it's almost like a camouflage, isn't it? Because what we don't do is we don't allow ourselves to just show up in every place that we are. What I mean by that is that we seem to play these roles, whether we're a son or a father or a mother or an employer or an employee, and that we're not really consistent in all these areas. I think one of the powerful things about being in a marriage is that you have a place that you can go, that you can just be yourself. Now, sometimes that can look pretty ugly. Who we are sometimes doesn't work very well. Sometimes we get into these moods, and sometimes we get into a place where we're quite angry, and sometimes we get frustrated. But isn't it nice to be able to do all of those things with someone who just understands? That doesn't mean that they like it. That doesn't mean they accept it. What it means is that you can be this way with someone and know that it doesn't change how they feel about you. And I think for me, at least, there's nothing more special than that I can really be myself, and even maybe not such a good self, but I can be me. I can wake up some days and just want to bite someone's head off and turn to my wife, and sometimes I'll bite her head off. But when I do, she tells me that it's not acceptable, and I hear it from a place of love. I don't hear it as a put down. I don't hear it as that there's something wrong with me. I hear it as I care, I want our life to be the best it can be, and that if you want us to be happy together, to have a life that's filled with positive and uplifting times, sometimes I gotta just deal with it. And I have to get the riot act from her, where she says, you know what, you're mistreating me. And more often than not, she is correct. And there have been many times in those experiences in which I stand back and I go, ouch, that really hurt. It hurt because what I just did is hurt the person that loves me more than anything. And that feeling is not one that I want to repeat many times. And knowing that she is that kind of person to me, that she touches me in places that many people don't touch me. Now, I'm not talking sexually here. I'm talking that who she is a partner that I, for the first time in my life, have found someone that I know has my best interest at heart. And together, we experience life and love and happiness and sadness and frustration and all of the things that we experience in life. And we're doing it together. And I think it's pretty cool to have someone like that. And that's really the motto or the hope I have for all of you, is being able to find someone in your world that you can relate to in that way, to know that no matter what happens, the two of you are in this world together. And one of the most fun things my wife and I do together is we travel. And the traveling that we've been doing recently has been more often than not cruising. And I love cruising. And the reason that I love cruising so much is that it allows my wife and I to go off without the kids, without telephones. Yes, I said that right. Without telephones, without internet, and just have the experience of being together, sharing our life and sharing our time together without any interruption. It is the most wonderful, incredible experience that I have, because there is no distraction that gets in the way. And one of the things that I jokingly talk to people about cruises, is that if you really want to know what kind of relationship you have, go on a cruise. Because when it's nothing but you and the sea, and you're sitting on the boat, and there's not much else going on, you have to create and make your own fun. Being able to do that is a skill and an art. And for those of you who are listening to this podcast, who are not married, who might not even be dating in a significant relationship, I highly recommend, before you make a commitment to anyone, to go on a cruise with them, because you will know if the two of you are made for one another. And that is actually a true story. And my kids will tell you this, that one of the things that I did early on is I made a commitment to myself to get on a cruise with someone before I made a decision whether we're going to be in a serious relationship. And there were many, many, many different women early in my relationships that's when the relationship ended, because I wasn't going to continue. And my kids would jokingly, when they met my wife, they said that they didn't want me to take her on the cruise because they liked her. And more often than not, after a cruise, I would break up with these women. So anyway, that's a true story, actually. What I want to do today, and what this episode is really about, I've titled it Shopping Meltdowns. The reason I've titled it Shopping Meltdowns is a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, but it's a really serious topic. It's a topic of how do you establish a relationship with someone in which you are interested in them and that their needs matter to you, and how you handle yourself in situations that are stressful can be really difficult. One of the things about cruising that is, for those of you that haven't done cruises, aren't aware of, that cruises is like being on a 5-star hotel on water. It is the most incredible experience. There is shopping galore. There is gambling. There's free entertainment. All the food you ever want to eat, and not only just sort of junky kind of food. You have one of the best chefs in Europe. There's incredible chefs who work on these cruise ships that develop meals that are beyond good. And one of the things about that is there's food and wine and booze and sun and entertainment. And if you think about an all-inclusive hotel, you have that on sea, and nothing's more fun. So my wife and I were on this cruise ship, and we went on this cruise with my sister-in-law and her husband, and we were just recently married, I believe. And the issue that came up for us had to do with my sister-in-law and my wife. When they get together, their shopping can take hours upon hours upon hours. And what you have to understand, that being on a cruise ship, as you walk along the cruise ship, there is store after store after store of high-priced jewelry, high-priced clothing, high-priced makeup, and every single woman stops as they walk through this corridor, stops at almost every store every single day. And some of the times on the cruise ship, what they do is they bring these huge tables out with tchotchkes all over the place. I don't know how many of you know what a tchotchke is, but tchotchkes are little trinkets, things like wristbands or sunglasses. So you're walking along these stores and you can get 5 minutes without someone stopping and going, oh, I want to go in this and just look around. Now, I don't understand looking around. Looking around to me means looking at some nice scenery. Looking around in a store without the intent of buying is illogical in my mind. I don't understand this, but it's something that my wife is incredibly passionate about. She loves doing it. And we would be going to dinner, going down to this really fancy restaurant, and it would take us at times 10 to 20 minutes to get there because she wants to stop in the shop. And when she doesn't want to shop, my sister-in-law wants to stop. And we did that for the first 2-3 days. And I was really understanding. I would even go in with her. We would have this bonding experience of looking at this. I remember one of the gift shops, she wanted to buy a blow-up boat for her friend back home. And they didn't have the exact boat that she wanted. So we would come back every day or so because they thought they might have it. And we did that. And I was so excited because I knew our sea days were almost over and then we were going to hit the ports. What I didn't attribute or count on, that the ports were tchotchke city. Every single port we stayed at or we stopped at had store after store after store waiting for the Americans to come off the boat. Because what they knew is they had a captive audience and there were T-shirts and clothing. And if you can imagine how much souvenir places there were every 5 minutes, you had to stop for another one, even on port. And my brother-in-law and I started to have a conversation about this. And he would talk to me and said, you need to prepare yourself for this, because when we get to port, there's going to be nonstop shopping. And I said, no, we're going to see the beautiful churches. We're seeing all the sights. Isn't that why we're going? And he said, you got to be prepared for this. I said, what do you mean prepared for this? He said, you're going to be sitting around a lot because Debbie and Susie love this. They love going out and doing this. And I said, okay, I can deal with it. It can't be as too bad. So we went out and we saw all the beautiful sights of Greece. We saw Athens and we saw all of this. And it was so much fun. And then we started walking toward the boat. And they said, oh, souvenirs. We have to go get souvenirs. And I was tired. It was a long day. And John and I sat down, and my wife and Susie began to buy these bracelets. These bracelets that all looked the same to me. And I asked my wife, Debbie, how long they were going to be in the store. And she said, 5 minutes. We're just going to go in there, quickly grab a couple of items, and then we'll be done. So after 20 minutes, I was fuming because both of them were going through every single item of every single possible color and wasn't able to figure out what they liked. They were trying them on and giving that to each other. And I just had what I would call a classic meltdown. I went in the store, I didn't even recognize who I was. I was saying things that were so awful about how they don't care about us, that they're rude and disrespectful. And John is out there shaking his head going, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But who was I? I wasn't listening. And we had a classic meltdown of being triggered by my wife and Susie shopping. Now, I wish I could say, oh, I knew better. I was a therapist. I teach emotionally focused therapy. I know about connection and bonding and not getting into who's right, who's wrong, and blame. All of that went out the window, guys. There was nothing good about what happened there. And looking back and reflecting on this, the funny thing is, if I would go and look way out down the street, there was man after man after man after man, all sitting waiting for their wives. But they were smart. And this is one of the lessons that I've learned. They all had something to read. They had an iPad. They had an iPhone. They had something to entertain them, waiting for their wives to pick out what darn color is best for someone's eyes, of these little tchotchkes. What that has taught me as a counselor, as a man, as someone who really understands that we get triggered by lots of different things. And the statement that I want to teach all of you is patience, patience, patience. Love sometimes requires a great deal of patience. It's true. You don't have to give up on your relationship or settle for feeling lost or as if something is missing. You just need to know how to connect with your partner in a way that allows the two of you to feel loved and appreciated. But the problem is that many couples don't have the tools they need to navigate the ups and downs of a relationship without causing relationship injuries to one another. Yet they wonder what happened to the friendship that you used to share. How did it get from where it was in the beginning of the relationship to where you are now, feeling alone, disappointed, and hurt? And yet, you just can't seem to move forward to be happy again. Thankfully, this problem can be fixed, and that's where the 2 days and 7 conversation Hold Me Tight workshop comes in. Just 2 days, you will understand what you and your partner need to have a relationship where both of you are on the same page, working together to have that close relationship you only once dreamed of. Check it out at www.thecouplesexperts.com. Your relationship deserves the two of you feeling that closeness you once had. As partners, one of the things we have to do is put aside our needs so our partners feel important to us, and allowing our partners the freedom to just be themselves, to take their time shopping or doing whatever they want to do simply because it's what they want to do. But we have to have dialogues about this. That's what didn't happen. We didn't really talk about this. And I didn't come prepared to do my part at trying to help my wife feel important to me, and her doing her part to know that I need to have something to entertain myself because I get anxious in situations like that. The other thing that I think we have to face here, for most men, we are not genetically suited for shopping, which means we don't have the patience that has to occur to have a really good shopping experience. I believe men as a gender, generally speaking, are not cut out for it. That's what we have to accept. I believe we have to accept this, and if we accept it, then we can handle it because we can put aside what we need to do. And we as men pretty much go into a store knowing what we want, spending 5 minutes in there, go to an online website, go into the store with a list, come out in that 5 minutes, and exit as fast as we can. I personally have spent many hours in the years I've been married just waiting, not that patiently, for my woman to complete a shopping trip and find that one thing. But I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something about my wife, Debbie, though. She is good at this. She finds deals like you wouldn't believe, and that's one of the reasons, as a hobby, she now has an eBay business of reselling items that she buys on sale. And she does it eloquently and in a really, really sexy way because her eyes light up when she finds these deals. And she finds these things that other people just can't live without. So she looks for these things that aren't even on her list. And I'm amazed that she can do this. But if she keeps looking, she tends to find it. And then she finds things for me too. And then after I have these shopping meltdowns, which I tend to have, I then start feeling bad because she did some loving things for me. So my message here for you two listening to this is that it's important whether or not your partner sees you as making their needs important to you. Because what we have to get to is a place where our partners always see us as having them back and caring about what they need. What's important to me has to be what's important to her, even if it's about shopping. I have to adopt this attitude that since this is my wife and this is the things that she loves to do, I have to love to do it also. I don't have to be the one doing it, but I have to support it. And supporting it doesn't mean letting her go to the mall, and then when she comes back, you give her attitude. You give her a sense that you're pissed off that she took so much time just to go shopping with something so irrelevant. Instead of going, I love that you do this because I know it makes you happy. And we have to be invested in the things that make our partners happy. Some of the areas that people don't think about is that when they're planning to go on their outings together, you wouldn't think that shopping would ever be an issue. But I can't tell you how many times it is. And a source of conflict in the relationship, and it becomes a trigger that can define the relationship as you don't care about me. Because the trigger takes us to that place, takes us to not feeling valued and having your partner not care about what you enjoy. The image you want your partner to feel about you always is that the perception has to be, you care about me, you love me, and you care about the things that matter to me. So the recommendations here are, if you and your wife are going on a shopping trip, whether it's to the mall or whether it's on a cruise, bring a book, play games on your phone, take something to occupy yourself to help you stay calm and keep the time to pass more quickly. This issue could stress you out. What I've recently come up with is something exciting that I want to share to most of you men out there, which is, how do we make the shopping trip where you go along something that you might even look forward to? And I know you don't think that's reasonable, realistic, or possible, but I'm going to give you one. What if, at the end of the shopping trip, your wife agrees to go to Victoria's Secret and try on the most sexiest outfits that they have and take pictures of her doing this, including in the nude? That when she's in that dressing room, she's FaceTiming you. Or when she's in that dressing room, she's taking videos that you then get to watch of her in these provocative, sexy kind of outfits. What would that make the shopping trip like? Or finding something that creates that kind of excitement in the two of you that says, this patience has a reward. So I want you to think about this. This podcast, this episode, is not life and death here. It's not going to make or break your relationship, but I want you to think about the main concept here. And the main concept being, you want to send the message to your partner every day of your relationship that says to them, you care about what's important to them. And if both of you are doing this, you will have a relationship that will last your lifetime and where both of you feel so very loved. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time on The Couples Experts, where my episode is on a little bit more serious note, which is how to avoid conflict in your marriage. I'm going to have a guest that's going to come and talk with us by the name of Alex Swire. Thank you for joining me again, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye now. And as always, please stay connected.
Thank you for listening. This episode has ended, but your journey continues. Head over to www.thecouplesexperts.com to access all the links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as bonus content exclusive to podcast listeners. Enjoyed this episode? Why not hit subscribe now and never miss an episode?